So Bears President Kevin Warren told Arlington Heights, not to worry. You're not exactly on the clock. We got to take your time. We're not going to make a decision. Hopefully the decision will be made in some point over the summer, but there's no pressing timeline. We'll see what the General Assembly comes up with. Cam Buckner carrying the legislation to get state subsidies for the Bears and commitments for infrastructure improvements for the Bears in Springfield. So we'll see what comes out of Springfield by the end of early spring, assuming they don't go into overtime. So that would be the end of May. And then we can kick that around. Maybe then go back and see if Indiana wants to sweeten the pot a little bit more for the Wolf Lake property. We'll let these two cats fight it out for a little while. Interestingly and definitively, for first time I think that I've seen, at least publicly, is Hammond is a possibility. Arlington Heights is a possibility. What's not a possibility is Chicago, which has long been the case, but it's being openly voiced right now. So that will be a blot, as if he needs another, on Brandon Johnson's record as mayor going into 27. And boy, if the Bears chose Hammond, that would be a blot on Pritzker's record going into 26 with an eye towards 28 as well. Interesting piece over at Crane's. That's the anti-business magazine in Chicago, if you didn't know. That's the pro-kleptocracy, rent-seeking outlet. I mean, I have to say it, even if it offends my next guest. Dan McGrath, I'm not calling him one, I'm just saying the outlet is. Dan McGrath is the president of Leo High School. He's also a former Chicago Tribune sports editor. Dan, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Happy to do it, Dan.
So the piece that you wrote was sort of interesting. I haven't quite heard anyone make this comparison of Kevin Warren, who is driving this or has been tapped to drive this as the president of the organization. This is not being done, as you often see, by the formal owners of the team. And you compared Warren, I don't know if it was favorably or unfavorably. I'm still trying to process it. Favorably or unfavorably to Al Davis?
Well, I think there are some similarities. In his defense, he was brought in with one job, get us a stadium. And that's certainly what he's endeavoring to do. I don't think it's been handled as smoothly or as adroitly as he would have liked. I think he had better or smoother sailing up in Minneapolis when he got the building built for the Vikings. There's been more obstacles to overcome here. But again, he's playing one side against the other pretty obviously. Okay, as you just said, all right, here's what we're waiting for Pritzker and the Assembly to do. Now we'll go back to Northwest Indiana and see what they want to do. And, at some point we'll come up with a arrangement that's favorable to us. But I don't see any possibility that they go to Northwest Indiana. I think it's Arlington Heights, and it's just a matter of pounding out the details. I think the lakefront, the footprint is too small for what they want to do. The NFL is the notorious copycat league. Everybody wants what the Raiders have in Las Vegas. Everybody wants what Jerry Jones has in Dallas.
SoFi in California. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And there's just no place to do that on the lakefront. So that pretty much rules out the lakefront. My friend David Greising from the Better Business Bureau, the BGA, a former Tribune colleague of mine, had an interesting piece about why they refuse to look at the Michael Reese site. I guess there are similar concerns about access and parking and everything that they need, but the land is there, and it's certainly not far from downtown, and it would revitalize the South Loop and or the near South Side, I guess I would say. But Michael Reese property doesn't appear to be in play at all. It's either Northwest Indiana or Arlington Heights.
Well, part of it is their fan base. I mean, from a season ticket holder perspective, they're in the suburbs. They're not downtown, and they don't want to go downtown.
That's in the northwest suburbs too. That's a very good point.
Yeah. The just in terms of the missteps or things could have gone more smoothly to this point. Now looking back on it, I mean, as you said, he was brought in to get them a new stadium. I mean, was Soldier Field ever really in play? And if it wasn't, why did he sort of posture and pretend with Brandon Johnson that they were having productive talks and that there were possibilities and so forth? It seemed like there was never a possibility.
I would think that's true. I would go back to Richie Daley when they refurbished the stadium back around 2000. Had they gone all the way then and domed it and done the things that would have been able to, get them a Super Bowl, get them a Final Four, make it more of a all events complex rather than, strictly a football stadium. And, the hotel tax and everything that they had to make happen in order to do that, if they had just taken it a little further and built the building that they needed back then, I don't think it would have come to this crisis mode. But, I think the mayor was taken in. They sort of sweet talked him and, you want to be a player in this. Things have evolved too. I mean, the stadium building and the whole facilities, it's like an arms race, who can have the nicest thing and who can bring in the most revenue, because, the NFL is well known for its revenue sharing, but they don't share like suite income or the ancillary businesses around the stadium. They don't share that. They get to keep that. All they really share is broadcast revenue and ticket revenue. So the more ancillary income you can have, the better off you are. That's why the Cowboys are probably the highest rated, most prosperous franchise in the entire league. They're not the most successful, but they bring in the most money.
I understand that Pritzker went bitching to the NFL for help. You can't let them go to Hammond. Does the NFL have a position on this? Do they care whether it's Arlington Heights or Hammond for their purposes?
Yeah, I think they care a bit. The Chicago Bears, they're a showpiece franchise. They're one of the originals. They are pro football to many people. I know years ago when Virginia had to do the very unpleasant task of removing her son, Michael, as team chairman, she was under a bit of pressure from the league for that, for doing that. They had totally botched the Dave McGinnis hire. They wanted McGinnis to be the coach, but they totally lowballed him on a contract. And McGinnis's agent said, "I'm not going to let you sign that." And it was they had called a press conference. They had everybody there, ostensibly to announce Dave McGinnis, and then it came down at the end. They didn't have a deal. And then the stadium thing. You remember, Dan, in the late 90s, I think it was, Michael talked up the Gary Bears.
Very
attractive offer. And I just remember Richie, that sardonic little smile, and it's the Gary Bears.
Yeah,
so
right.
There were so many missteps that I think the league said, come on, we're not mom and pop anymore. This is a big time sophisticated business, and you got to get with it. So, yeah, I think the league, I don't think the league wants any part of Northwest Indiana. I think the league wants them in the greater Chicago area.
The speaking of the McCaskies, what is the future of that ownership look like? I mean, I know there are a lot of McCaskey mouths to feed, and so there's a lot of money that needs to be trickled down, and this is their asset if they can keep it. But I mean, what is the future of the Bears being held by the McCaskey family, do you think?
We hear grumbling from some of the younger. We've got this incredible asset, but we're not, capitalizing on it because it is the family business. There's not much going on within that family other than the Bears. I mean, most of them. There's not enough work for all of them, so most of them have held outside jobs of one sort or another. But in terms of where they make their money, where their income comes from, it is the Bears. And Don Pearson, another former Tribune great, did a terrific piece a few years back about how the trust is set up. I think there was some thought that when Pat Ryan acquired his 18 or 20%, that he would pick off McCaskey's one by one and get the majority share. But the trust is set up in such a way that they can't sell as individuals. They have to sell together, the whole thing. So that's why, it's a family property, but there's more and more.
Everybody has veto power. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. I think there are some who would like to cash in and, take
Sure.
into something other than football. But as long as George is in charge, I don't see that happening.
Well, I mean, maybe at least like the Pritzker family, at least so far, nobody's had to sue anybody over this to get their money. But and I'm not sure Pat Ryan ever really wanted it, wanted to own it. I'm not sure about that. Do you have any intuition about that?
No, I don't either. He's pretty content. He's on the board. He has a seat on the board. He's
of course,
in all the major decisions, and I think he likes being involved, but I don't think he ever wanted to run it.
Yeah. Now, but part of this is, and this I think, I have affinity for Virginia McCaskey and George McCaskey, and partly because of their faith and because I think they're good people.
Mm-hmm.
But
I don't think there's any question.
Yeah, and but I mean, a lot of the people that are not so fond of how the Bears have proceeded under their stewardship, looking at this stadium is like, okay, so let's say they do Arlington Heights and they probably double the value of the franchise overnight, but with hotels and Bears land and all that stuff. That's the perfect time to sell. Then everybody gets paid out and really handsomely paid out. And that may be why some of them, McCaskies, are sitting on their hands because they know there's an even bigger payday not too far down the road.
I think that's a good point. There's, as well as we're doing now, there's more money out there. There's better days ahead. And if anybody can overcome the argument against, public money for private enterprise, it's the Bears, just because of how beloved they are. I mean, I've worked all over the country, and I don't think I've ever seen anything like Chicago's affinity for the Bears. I mean, I was in San Francisco when the 49ers got good, and they certainly attracted a following, but they were good. The Bears attract this following and passionate following, and they're rarely good. It's just they're the Bears. Everybody loves the Bears.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's legislation will come out of Springfield with cash and prizes for the Bears to stay in Arlington Heights. And to your point too, and this is something that has been reported as much, but I've heard this too, is when these are. Kevin Warren, these are serious people. I mean, they're doing the work to really understand the economics of both places. And I just understand that you were sort of talking about Wolf Lake. It just doesn't, that lakefront doesn't have the space compared to the old Arlington Park site. And the revenue projections in terms of what the stadium and all the ancillary stuff would throw off in Arlington Heights as compared to Wolf Lake just makes it decidedly in favor of Arlington Heights.
Something else I haven't read much about is who knows what's in the land over there. The steel mills and the oil refineries, and it might be building. It might cost you quite a bit of money just to, take care of the environmental concerns before you really get a shovel in the ground. Years ago, the Bassmasters Classic was held in Chicago for some reason, and Wolf Lake was one of the sites that were fished. And we were joking in the office about everything that was pulled out of Wolf Lake was disqualified because it was green and had 3 eyes.
Exactly. It's like a Simpsons episode. Yeah.
Oh, hey, nobody knows what's over there.
That and you were pulling Cutlass Sierras out of Wolf Lake too, right? I mean, that's the other piece of it.
Too, yeah.
I mean, if we couldn't dump, if the mob couldn't dump the bodies in the Cal Sag, and Wolf Lake was a nice alternative spot.
That's right there, across the state line.
Dan McGrath, he's the president of Leo High School, former Chicago Tribune sports editor. His piece at Cranes, Bears Stadium Options, very, very interesting. Dan McGrath, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Good to be on with you. Take care.
Take care. And he joined us on Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
At Terra Vista of Oak Brook Terrace, dementia care isn't just what we do. It's all we do.